It's All Tuesday, the day of the week we all get to either simp, cry, or hate on our favorite characters. It's not supposed to make sense. We just say what we're thinking without thinking. It's cool. This week's chapter of Chainsaw Man was incredible. From Denji nearly rizzing up Yoru clearly having a major crush on Pochita, and Fujimoto drawing more of Yoru's thighs. Lots of cool things were happening. Lots of things. Hey, you know what? I think you guys need to treat yourself for Christmas. My Partner Gamer Subs has an incredible sale going on right now, and you can use my partner code to get even more discounts. We have a new creator flavor, Gamer of Thrones Pixel merch, which is now available, which has some pretty awesome t-shirts, I must say. We also got Mama Casey's Peach Tea, now available for a limited time while supplies last. And of course, we have Lean, which comes with a double cup, which is just now back in stock. We pick up from 222, where Denji is finally in a brand new form that is more armored and diabolical looking. Instead of being like Black Chainsaw Man, it is red. So my guess is that Fujimoto, he's gonna split the difference and probably just call this form Red Chainsaw Man, though I'd love to get your theories on what you'd probably call it or like to see it called. For me, I think Armored Chainsaw Man is a pretty cool name. Either way, Yoru is pretty pissed off. In fact, a major theme of this chapter is Yoru not really appreciating Denji taking his body over. And Yoru, in some ways, Yoru really is the prototypical Chainsaw Man speed reader type. The one that comes by every week just to complain, then you guys gotta listen to me complain about them every week. Fun times, really is. Not gonna lie. And I love Yoru's line here, which shows just how selfish she is. He's red? The red one? Isn't my Chainsaw Man! In many ways, this is nothing new for any Fujimoto fan, as by now we probably all adore him for the fact he loves toxic and selfish women, who just so happen to be very well endowed. But Yoru is just, she is so goddamn bratty, and she truly does want the world to revolve only around her and anything that she likes. Which is ironic because she claims to hate Chainsaw Man. She just tries to, the person who tries to suffocate him with her toxic love. Now, that being said, I can respect a girl who treats love like war and goes out and gets what she wants. I like that kind of thing. But I think that dynamic with Yoru really does make her seem like a big baby who can't handle anything that isn't in her own little world. Basically, she's a narcissist that makes Power seem like a poodle. By the way, I miss Powie. Do you guys miss Powie? I miss Powie. So she immediately tells Denji to turn back because she isn't interested in him in the least. And for the first time ever, I think this goes both ways here. On one hand, this shows Yoru's obsession with Pochita and her crush on him. Oh, she is so down bad. But on the other hand is discontent for Denji. She really just seems to not care about Denji. And doesn't this just remind you of basically every woman in Chainsaw Man ever, besides like Reze and Asa Mitaka, fun name to say? Yoru is falling into that same trap that all of the women who go after Denji and hate Denji fall into. Because, checks records, everyone who wanted Denji's heart for themselves because of the fact that either it is Chainsaw Man who is his heart or because they're just psychos, well, they are all either dead, lost, or masticated. And I've been saying for a little bit now that Yoru has shown to me no signs she could or would win this fight. Sure, I mean, it's pushing Denji and Pochita to their respective limits, but I'm not convinced at all Yoru can pull out at this point, which is kind of funny, considering that Yoru is quite good at pulling out. We then get some nice shots of Denji attacking Yoru and putting out all of the stops, shooting chains in all directions, which, by the way, so freaking rad. Plus, it is just another reason for, Fujimoto to draw a building he secretly wants to smash. We also get another pretty cool shot of Yoru looking great, not even flinching as she turns her head as the chain whizzes past. She notices that this is the same attack he learned earlier in the series at the school, and thus sees Denji as an unworthy opponent. Which is quite hilarious, considering she lost to him in rock, paper, scissors. So she threatens him and demands that he return, his own damn body to Pochita. Hello, pot calling the kettle black? She's literally hijacking Asa's body for her own selfish reasons. So she shouldn't be telling the owner, who is the owner of his own body, by the way. Did we need to say that? Did we need to say that? That he should give it back to Pochita. And honestly, I will admit, I love that Fujimoto is playing up the differences between the two, and yet also how familiar they both are. Yoru, who forcefully hijacked Asa, and Pochita, who saved Denji. One is out of love, and the other is out of selfish, bratty delusions. And both of them, they're dumb. And probably should just kiss already. Though, I'm pretty sure the best part of this chapter comes right after when Denji mocks Yoru and uses the severed heads of her new devil pals as meat shields. Now, this is the best part, because Denji is like, I made some swanky armor! As he taunts her with all of her devil pals in pain, pleading, looking mighty pitiful, may I add, poor Moray eel. But Yoru's response, it's just so funny. She also kind of deserves this too, which probably makes it more funny. But she deserves, in my opinion, to feel the pain she has inflicted on everyone else, and especially Asa. She calls Denji out for using her friends as a shield, and especially not her Moray eel. No, not the eel. That's Yoru's bestest friend. I bet they play Tekken Tag Tournament 2 on the Xbox 360 together. Great game, by the way. So Denji attacks Yoru, begging for him to attack her, as she is just incredulous at his Denji-brained schemes. Like always, he effortlessly slices through Yoru like room temperature butter as she gets fed up with him and goes to finger bang Denji's head off. Instead, she inadvertently finger bangs Moray eel, who died like how he lived in life. A man of conviction. Someone who maybe didn't have the mechanical ability to play Tekken Tag Tournament 2, but someone who tried to play Tekken Tag Tournament 2 on the Xbox 360. And really, isn't that all we're looking for in a friend? So this is to you, Moray eel. I raise this cup of lukewarm coffee that says you are the bee's knees on it. And yes, you are. You are the bees, the knees of bees, and much more than that, you are Moray eel. You are a friend, a best friend. Anyways, Yoru is really fed up. She tells Denji that up until this very point, she was just trying to have some fun. She played by the rules. She fought him fair and square from head on. But you crossed the line. Yep, but I don't like it when things aren't going my way. Denji, you turned the table on me. You turned the tables in the wrong way. You got me mad now. I stood around and listened to everything you had to say. I did everything necessary. But when you turn around and you backstab me one way or another, you cheat me out of what's rightfully mine, that's when I get angry. You'll pay for that. Playtime's over, Denji. If anyone got that reference, please put in the comments, though. What really surprised me here is when Denji has this moment of tenderness and relates to Yoru. He tells her that he understands watching friends die and how it hurts them, and how he personally knows how Yoru feels when stuff like this happens. It causes them both to become lonely, to isolate their hearts from everyone else as they ache in pain. And this was really beautiful stuff, honestly, really. It's yet another example of how simplicity doesn't mean dumb or stupid or bad in the case of Denji. Because Denji explains this just so dummy simple, but it hits more because of that, as it's delivered in a way everyone can feel and understand, like, immediately. Which is why Yoru hearing this she's stunned. She's taken aback a little bit, and then kind of stunned again when Denji immediately eats Moray eel in front of her. You know, I really enjoyed this for all of it was worth, because I think this is what Yoru needed to hear when all is said and done, and dare I say see too. She has spent all of this series demanding and taking from people, and never has she ever really had to suffer like Asa has, or how Denji has, or even how Pochita has. She has tons of friends, tons of power, and everyone does what she says, or has to in some cases. But what is the fun in any of that, you know? Like, so yeah, it's kind of funny when Denji scarfs down Moray eels, and even at one point shoves it down his throat like the throat goat he is. And I think this is good for Yoru, I really do. Loss is something that allows people to grow and become stronger. And you know, losing someone doesn't mean you really lose them either. I mean, they always stay with you, riding with you no matter how distant they seem. That memory is always there, and that is always how people tend to grow stronger. It's facing adversity, right? And this is important to understand because this is the only way I think Yoru can start to wake up to her reality and break free of her devilish delusions. She must lose, and probably lose again, fall repeatedly until she looks around and she has no one and nothing. Because the truth is, she never really did have anything, did she? She just took advantage of everyone. We don't even know if Moray even liked Yoru or cared about Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Angry and distraught, she tries to fingerbang Denji once more but misses. And with a look I can only describe as a pretty good imitation of Reze from the Reze arc, she yells out in agony for Denji to come back and fight her. But, it is Denji who now has the leverage he kinda always had since the beginning of this fight. He tells Yoru to give back Asa's body or he will eat every single one of her friends, Jesus. And her response is to send the entire moon crashing into Earth. Seriously? Is she really gonna do that? No way, not a chance. Denji would just be proving Yoru wrong again, and what? What does she get? Destroy the Earth so that she becomes completely powerless? I mean, what point is there for devils if humans do not exist at all? But hey, that's where we are after this chapter. Let's dive into this a little bit more with some theories. I think it kind of goes without saying, but Yoru has lost this fight, and it happened as soon as she went to use that nuclear punch and lost in rock, paper, scissors. That moment sealed her defeat, as pretty much throughout the entire fight, Yoru hasn't been able to do much against Pochita or Denji, just like how she would always in the past lose to Chainsaw Man with their battles in hell. This is yet another chapter in their storied rivalry, love, where once more Yoru is as transparent as they come. Yoru is not going to send the moon crashing into planet Earth, and she is going to give Asa's body back to Mitaka by the end of this. Honestly, this is how this fight is probably going to end and how they'll come to understand one another. Yoru needs to understand that she has a lot to lose in this fight, and has already lost quite a bit. The only right outcome here is to let Asa have her body back and to, I don't know, calm the freak down. Okay, well, how about this? Think of it this way. Let's say the fight continues. What then? Yoru can't use the moon to vaporize the planet just because Denji ate her friends. Jesus Christ, that is a sentence I said. And then, let's say we move past that, right? After this is Yoru, who has been nothing short of an absolute a-hole for the entirety of this series. And she got what she wanted. She completed her goal of getting nuclear weapons back on the table. And at some point, the obsession with defeating Chainsaw Man and Denji becomes so ridiculous that even she has to self-reflect. All Denji has to do is keep toying with Yoru's emotions and playing up all of her little buttons he can hit to make her act in the ways that he wants her to. He is fully in control, and to top it off, his new form allows him to be fully on par with what Yoru throws at him, which likely could be the entire freaking moon of all things. We shall see. But I am quite skeptical that Yoru isn't more than just a brat who is throwing a temper tantrum the size of moons, because she didn't get her way this one singular time. So yeah, long story short, it doesn't really matter what happens next because Denji has already won. Everything else is going to just be extra icing on the awesomeness cake that has been this arc. Also, catch the symbolism? Literally, Yoru is quite literally using her symbolic longing and love to defeat Denji and Chainsaw Man, because the moon is often represented in all forms of media as longing, love, and deep affection. So Fujimoto, once again, using his talent to not so subtly tell us Yoru is, wow, down bad. So I went to my Discord to catch some of your opinions on this chapter, and I simply asked what you would rate the chapter. We'll get to those ratings in just a moment, but much of the reaction to this chapter seems universally beloved in my Discord server. October was reminded of Devilman Crybaby with the whole moon thing, cutting the moon in half because you have an argument. Though Kat here brings up a very interesting point. He says, space or dark devil, to which I would say a space devil probably would be hella rad, but I don't think this is what any of this is. I actually think that Yoru is just using her powers to control the moon's gravity and send it hurling towards planet Earth. This would make a lot of sense, as a nice detail we see is the American flag, which should technically now just be a white flag due to the radiation bleaching all the color from it. But anyways, that tells us that this is something that America owns, and if America owns it, then Yoru seems to own it, as she has full control over America. This actually reveals quite a bit on what Yoru can do, and it is, wow, terrifying. She has control over nukes, the military, and even celestial bodies, which not only goes to show just how powerful the nation of America is, but also the terrifying reality that Yoru now controls it all. And to the victor goes the spoils. This is sort of what October pointed out here too. Yoru is simply weaponizing yet another toy to hurl at Denji and Pochita and try and do something. Honestly, at this point, I think Yoru is really just pent up and needs some alone time with her darling Pochita, if you catch my drift. Also, I agree with this statement. Moray Eel's got that old but charming person kind of look to him, like, you know, the ones who just kind of make you laugh all the time. Yeah, I'm looking way too deep into Moray Eels here, but listen, you can't blame me. I'm autistic, man. With that being said, out of the 19 people who voted in our Discord poll, you can join it to find out the results for yourself. Okay, just kidding, of course. 2 people voted it as okay, and 17 people voted peak, which is the highest rating. I think that's pretty fair for this chapter. It was pretty good and didn't have really much wrong with it. It was very fun, that's for sure. Thank you so much for watching and having Merry Christmas. Check out all of the videos that we did in 2025 in this handy playlist. Thank you so much for listening to me and all of my rants and raves. Make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.